Well, I hope you're all strapped in because I fear this potentially could be the longest Sims 4 news video I have ever uploaded because boy oh boy do we have an awful lot to talk about. They really said our 25th anniversary is coming up, so let's have 25 years worth of this word count. They uploaded this massive blog post going over so many topics from the Sims film that we have heard being mentioned a couple of times now, the future of the franchise, which honestly isn't looking all that rosy, especially considering they basically have fully confirmed that Rene is not the Sims 5, and it's definitely looking like we're not getting a Sims 5 anytime soon. They did actually give us a few figures about how people have been playing The Sims 4. I actually, at the end of last year, did a basically Sims Wrapped. Going off my own statistics in my own Sims 4 game, I still do think that would be fun for them to do as an official thing, but 759 plus million hours spent in live mode, 303 million hours in build, 640 million Sims created. I like to think that I'm at least 640 of those. All you 100 baby challenges, they called you out directly. Now, I definitely think these numbers could actually tie in to what I think events could possibly be. We did actually get the roadmap for this quarterly teaser, and they had an event about Grim named in that, which I think is starting the 24th of September. Prediction for what I thought that event could actually be was Simmers joining up together, trying to unalive Sims, and then if we hit like specific targets, we would maybe get something back within the game. There is also a new episode of Behind the Sims coming in January of 2025. The Hollywood rumors are true. We are in fact getting a Sims film. Now, I have made a video about this, talking about what kind of storylines I would like to see. My number one is a murder mystery. I just think like a Knives Out done in like the Sims universe could be incredible. I'm kind of over the whole like Barbie-esseness where something is not in like reality and then realizes that it's not in reality and then becomes sentient, because you know that was done in Barbie most recently. It's also been done in like Truman Show, and whilst The Sims definitely heavily relies on those kind of themes and always has as a simulation game, I just think a sim waking up realizing that they're in a simulation and then like controlling their own destiny is just a little bit tired. With Heron and Redman executive producing, Kate Herron will direct and Bryony Redman is the co-writer. Then they actually want to work with more creators. They obviously realize the importance of community and creativity when it comes to The Sims. They've already worked with like custom content creators an awful lot, and they are actually continuing to do that. So they have the Sims 4 creator kits. Happy for the creators, not happy that they're working on kits with the creators, because we all know how I personally feel about kits, but that's just my personal opinion. Some people really like kits. A lot of console players have kind of preferred kits because they can't actually download custom content, and this actually kind of falls into that realm. These creator kits will mark for the first time a full collection of in-game assets that have been crafted by a creator. So basically this is very similar to, I think it was the 21st birthday that we potentially got assets that were created with custom content creators. So this is kind of official custom content for the game in kit form. So I'm assuming these will be the exact same price as regular kits. Now that is something I have said about kits. That is where their strength kind of lies, even if I don't particularly enjoy them. And that is because they are able to produce them at a quicker rate. So it does feel like they are living in like fashion trends a little bit quicker than they usually do in those bigger packs, which obviously take a much longer time to actually create. The Sims Creator Program, next evolution of how we work with established and up-and-coming creators with this official program, gain access to a range of exclusive perks, early access. The Sims Lab is actually something that got announced whilst I was actually on holiday, so I did sign up to it, but this is open to anyone. So right now you can sign up to be a tester for the Sims Labs. Our Sims franchise. Now, this is something that they emphasize an awful lot in this blog post. They're like, this isn't just about like The Sims 4. We want to focus on The Sims as a full-on franchise. And I feel like we've seen that in recent years, especially when it comes to like all of the redesign of like the Maxis logo and like the Sims logo, and that as like branding, and then also the merch has that branding. Involves innovating across multiple products to deliver new experiences, and through Sims Labs will explore new experimental ways to play The Sims. I feel like all of this wording kind of ties into how I think I've been personally feeling about like The Sims and the future of The Sims for a long while. I kind of made a video a few years back when The Sims 4 base game went free to play on the fact that it really feels like they're all in on this kind of live service. They want to make The Sims like a game that just is playable for as many years as possible. And this is wording that we've heard for an awful long time. I also definitely drew comparisons between like The Sims and Skate. Skate has now like dropped the number. Like the new Skate game isn't like Skate 4, it's just known as Skate. And they have said in like a lot of their presentations, we are creating a Skate game that we want people to play for as long as possible. And honestly, if you took a shot every time you heard The Sims and content for many more years to come, you would be on the floor. You would not be able to stand because it's happened so much. But they've never given us a definite like answer to when The Sims 4 is going to end. And I honestly don't think that they have one. There is actually like a little questionnaire that you have to fill out just to see if you fit into what they are looking for. They haven't actually said like what this art is from. It kind of gives me like Sims 4 concept art. The Sims look different, so I'm like, is this Rene? I was thinking they've been so mean there and they've showed off like unrequited love, but I think this Sim just like doesn't like birds and then the Sim loves birds. We'll move beyond linear sequential Sims releases. So that's kind of what people are hopping on board on, where it's like, okay, we're not getting The Sims 5. They have said that they're moving beyond it. So I don't know if that's like officially out of the question. I do think if we ever do get a Sims 5, that's where we're going to see just like The Sims, and they want it to be this like overarching kind of element of all of these things that they're now bringing into play. A variety of games and experiences that will touch different categories across the simulated life genre, including cozy games, social and collaborative based gameplay, mobile narrative games, and continued depth improvements and modernization of The Sims 4, including individual features from Project Rene, a story-driven mobile test, enhancements to The Sims 4 with discovery and search tools, creator tools, and more. As we already know, MySims and MySims Kingdom are coming in November to the Nintendo Switch. I, for one, I'm very happy about this. Have got confirmation actually that it is going to look a little bit better. They have slightly updated the graphics, looks more clear. They have also like upped the contrast to kind of show it off in a better light on the Nintendo Switch. You can expect Nintendo Switch controls and touchscreen support. So I imagine that fishing, obviously these were created for the Nintendo Wii as well, will actually work quite like it if you're not playing in like handheld mode, but you are like using the Joy-Cons as kind of a movement controller, kind of like the Wii, in which you like press a button and then like flick up, and then you can actually move your hand like over the trees and physically like shake whilst holding a button to collect essences, as well as much requested special content from the original PC release. They had kind of like a free DLC, which was called The Garden, which actually allowed, I think, 7 more townies. I might be incorrect on like the actual number, because there was a new townie for each like type of essence that you could get. And there is also going to be a physical release that was confirmed over on Twitter. Project Rene is focused on building ways for friends to meet, connect, and share whilst playing in an all new world. A small invite-only playtest for Rene this fall, giving giving an early look at multiplayer experience that explores joining friends and other players in a shared location. Definitely feels like Rene is focusing on that multiplayer element a lot more than we initially thought it was going to. And I definitely think that makes more sense now that we have full on confirmation that it's not the next like Sims mainline game. I don't know if this is going to be like all NDA'd or if people actually will be able to talk about the playtest. Still no happy birthday for The Sims 4. They said you do not get a happy birthday. Big plans to continue building upon and improving. In May, obviously, they announced they assembled a team to invest in the core game experience, tackling technical issues. We've invested further into these efforts to focus on previously reported issues. That is why we have been getting such like big laundry lists. And to be fair, we have definitely seen like bigger fixes. I will say there are still so many bugs. I'm also not facing like the biggest bugs. I'm luckily not facing like the error issues and the save issues that I know an awful lot of players are playing with. And that's so unfortunate. Like, obviously we want this game to run and we actually want to be able to play it. But they have definitely been getting more and more frequent the more DLC that we're getting. It really felt around the time of like high school years, I really think they introduced like a lot of big bugs, glitches, saves, error codes, and we saw that in For Rent. We also have recently seen it in Love Struck. It's basically knocked out the whole neighborhood stories system, which is obviously why they need to focus on making this game more stable. But then there's bugs and glitches that we've had for the longest times when it comes to The Sims 4. The ones off the top of my head that I can really think of are like the gardening glitches where plants just revert back to nothingness. And I think if they want many more years to come in The Sims 4, like something needs to change. But also, we as Simmers have always wondered, like, is this really just being limited right now by the fact that it came out in 2014 and was developed like even before then? Like, I think the deepness, the storytelling, the packs, the features that people want, that Simmers want in The Sims 4, are they too big for what the game can currently withstand? And it's just like, where do you draw the line on that? And I know this is going to be a discussion for probably years to come. It has been a discussion since about like 2018, let's be real, about the time we did start to usually see a reintroduction of them being like, hey, we're gonna start like slowly leaving behind like what should have been The Sims 4 and move into like The Sims 5. We didn't really get those discussions. We just got for years to come, for years to come. And I think a lot of people kind of assumed, well, they're keeping the ball rolling on The Sims 4, but they are potentially like working on something behind the scenes, which now we know they are working on stuff behind the scenes. They are working on those other experiences of the Sims franchise, but they don't seem to be working on a mainline game. This is a 10-year-old game. How far can we like actually push it to get those big game-changing things that people actually want? Like, I personally don't think we're ever going to get Sims of different heights. I don't think we're ever going to get open worlds in The Sims 4. We could potentially get like create a world. I could maybe see that like happening, but that's going to be a lot of work even if it is possible in The Sims 4. It's just like, where can you take a 10-year game that people already aren't happy with? There's a new region inspired by Mountainside coming to The Sims free play. Kind of hopeful that they say they've invested further into quality assurance. I feel like the last few packs have definitely brought up a lot of discussion about QA and how things are being tested. How big can you go with that gameplay, with those packs, that future content without knocking out all of those systems that you already have? And there are already systems in the game that I wish were getting like a refresh, a rejuvenation. They introduced pack refreshers. We got one of them and then we never ever saw them again. And that is a very common theme when it comes to stuff introduced into The Sims 4, where they introduce it, they get excited about it, and then we don't see it again. And that's not only just gameplay features that they like introduce with packs. For example, I feel like sentiments could be so much better, so much bigger, could actually add that depth and consequence that players players want from The Sims 4, but it just doesn't. Don't get me wrong, there are like sentiments that are introduced with new packs and stuff. They're just not as deep as I personally would like them to be. Even when it came to maybe using them in Love Struck to kind of show off like one-sided relationships. For those of you who missed it, this was the laundry list that was released on September the 3rd. I'm not going to go over everything. Thought bubbles will no longer appear through walls and floors, although that does just say Mac, whereas that is absolutely happening to me on PC. Complete a daily work task is now working again. The walls and doors glitch that were happening in apartments is hopefully going to be fixed this time around. The occurrence of a blank creator date has been fixed in Love Struck. I know a lot of people were facing that issue where they literally just could not use that new feature of Love Struck. My Wedding Stories actually has a couple of fixes. I want to do a video on Sunday basically playing My Wedding Stories after this update drops to see if it is fixed. The exchanging vows with an officiant and kiss has literally never ever worked for me. You can now sell wedding cakes to local bakers, which I think is quite cool. Nice little like side hustle. And then there was also the Electronic Arts Investor Day.
We will carry forward the tremendous engagement and volumes of content we just discussed to make Sims 4 the foundation of our future growth strategy.
They're not thinking of a game to replace that.
Next, we will release an entirely new Sims experience, allowing players to connect,
Here's Rene.
create, and socialize together like never before.
More to come on MySims. So we could potentially get like all of the MySims games on Switch. We obviously haven't seen any talk of MySims Racing. There's also MySims Agents. We could even get like a new original MySims. I kind of hope that we get some more spin-offs like actually on consoles. So many people love The Sims Herbs, The Sims Castaway. Like I think something like that could be really cool for the Sims franchise. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't a massive fan of the spin-offs when I was younger because one, I was so used to like the sandbox experience of the Sims, and those are kind of more playthrough, actually have the game tell a story and you just kind of like work your creativity around it. Also, I was younger, so I just probably wasn't like very good at those games, whereas I think now I could actually enjoy content like that when it comes to The Sims. And I know that people are desperate for The Sims Medieval to make a return.
We'll be launching a new standalone mobile game, which will be a platform for creating and sharing stories in the Sims universe.
Project Stories. But this is the thing, like we already have The Sims free play. The Sims 4 mobile, I think, is shutting down or has shut down. I haven't really been on it with mobile in a very, very long time. Maybe potentially similar to Life Stories, which again, I never played The Sims Life Stories. If you did, can you imagine that on like mobile? Could you see that potentially happening? Also, how many people are still like interested in a Sims like mobile game? Because obviously when it comes to Rene, we have heard of them talking about it being multi-platform so that it works on mobile and PC. I therefore imagine that all of your progression like carries over between mobile and the actual PC version. Maybe mobile is just like slightly more limited in what you can do, whereas this is like its standalone like mobile project. A shared gallery. I don't even like the gallery right now. It's so difficult to use. The optimization of the gallery is atrocious. If this makes them like work on the gallery and make that function better, then I'm here for it. But I just imagine it's going to add more and more like fluff to the gallery, which is just not needed because it's already so messy. Every single meeting I have sat in, every single event I have attended in gaming, technology, anything like that for the last, I want to say 3 years has had some talk of AI. This, supercharged by AI, is not generative. From what I can see, it is not generative AI. Therefore, hopefully, right now, not stealing from artists, from creators, from custom content creators. This is my main concern when it comes to AI in life simulation games, is the fact that we have custom content creators. We have incredible players who love these games, who spend time, effort, energy, creativity. They help to like fix this game in a way that the players want them to. We have incredible, massive, huge overhauls of gameplay when when it comes to script mods in The Sims 4. We have incredible art that's created by stunning like makeup artists. We have diversity, we have representation. We have so much needed content done by creatives, and I would hate for any life sim to ever get to the point where it puts those custom content creators out of business because one, it's stealing their art. Two, it's an easier way for people to make their own stuff. So therefore, there's just like not a use case for custom content. I don't want that. I think custom content is such a pillar. So what they're talking about when it comes to AI in The Sims 4 is something that is going to help players to find stuff on the gallery more easily. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter compare this to Google Lens. So you take a photo and then you input it into this like AI feature on the gallery, and then it will pull up creations from players, so it's not stealing away that creativity. This is still user generated content. I personally know CreatorSim is not the favorite for everyone. Some people would rather just like start playing that game. Some people don't like fashion, they don't like creating the Sims, they just like to build, or they like to play a game and like get into that gameplay rather than spending hours in CreatorSim. Sorry that I can't relate, I'm not one of them. But this is talking about inputting a model into this like AI function, and then that AI function translating that person and the clothes that they are wearing into CreatorSim. This one is where it hits like a bit too home for me, because one, are they using these images to train anything? Because that's a scary thought. I don't like the thought of images of like real people going into AI. I think that opens up a whole can of worms for like what this could be used for in the future. I think if it were just like looking at clothes and being like, okay, if you want this form of outfit, kind of like a styled outfit, it could just be like, this is what you have like looked for, this is the closest thing that we can find within the game, kind of like picking a wardrobe based off an image. But I think they're also saying that the sim is like gonna look like the person that you want. I'm gonna have the link to that Investor Day talk down below. It's like a 3-hour stream, pretty much going over a lot of EA franchises. I will also leave a timestamp in the description for the Sims one, because I know I did like slightly talk over it and kind of put it into my own words. Overall, I think this was so much to take in. One, I'm excited for the Sims film. I have my reservations about the mainline game discussion, just like in general. I personally still enjoy playing the Sims 4. I know it has its ups, it has its downs for sure. And I do think that it is a very unstable game to be potentially building on for the next like 25 years. As they said, that was definitely an overstatement, but they're being hopeful for their franchise. That's not to say that The Sims 5 is never coming, or we're never going to get another like mainline piece of this franchise. I just think for right now, Sims 4 is their main focus alongside these other pieces, the way that it has been practically for the last 10 years. Just what concerns me about that is the fact that I feel like we're going to get more and more held back by the limitations of The Sims 4 than we already felt we have been. There are so many things that I would fix and like change about this game, and it's just whether they're actually able to do that in a 10-year-old game, and that's what's concerning to me right now. There's so much news that I'm gonna have to go away and like sit on this for a little bit. I feel like I personally can't get all of my thoughts out in like this one video, and also it's already so long, so I don't want to put you all through that. But thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope this video was helpful to kind of give like a brief summary of all of these things. I'm probably gonna have like future videos like discussing this once I've actually sat like with my thoughts, and that's definitely gonna be more coherent. But I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below over all of the things that they have spoken about, how you're feeling about all of this, what you're feeling, what you're thinking potentially for the future of the franchise. I appreciate you all, and I will speak to you all in my next one. Bye now.